right, everyone, I think I'm going to start. So if more people come in, it's not a problem, but I thought you don't want to be here all day, so I'll just go through it. I'm going to be emailing you the PowerPoint, so don't worry, I always email the PowerPoint. It'll also be posted onto the website, just in case there's so many different programs you have to choose from. You have a choice, and you know that mine will be emailed to you. So you don't have to worry about not coming. I like it if you come, but if you can't, of course, it's understandable. So I've been harping on networking to all of you, so I thought it would be good to give a program a little bit about networking. So people that are very comfortable with networking, this is going to be very obvious to you, and you might be like, okay, I know all of this, then that's great. But if you don't, it's just some tips for people that haven't really culturally networked. I mean, in some cultures it's just not done the same way. So I thought this would be a good overview. Basic, if you have other questions, you can please come see me. Okay, so networking is a process by which an individual gathers information and in turn shares information with others, creating and enhancing connections for mutual benefit. And this is really a two-way street. A lot of people are like, well, I don't like networking with others because I'm just taking. Well, actually, you're not. You're trying to make sure you're going to be helping others as well. So if you view it in that context, it's not so much like, okay, why am I bothering all these people? How am I going to help them? You will in the future. Why do we hate to network? And many people do not like to network. Asking for help shows weakness. Some people feel. Fear of rejection, feel like they're being fake. Lack of time. That one actually is a very important one for you guys because you have a minimal amount of time. Shyness, it's not something naturally you want to do this type of thing and asking and approaching people. Bragging is impolite in lots of cultures, and just lots of people talking about themselves and telling people about themselves and their accomplishments they feel as bragging is not something you should be doing. And I never learned how to network, so this is what we're going to do today. So why network? It is important. It is the most common way most law school students find jobs, particularly full-time employment following graduation. It matters after graduation as well. This is a life skill. Professional connections are going to help you build practical skills that will impact lateral hiring, client development, partnership prospects. Law is a business. I mean, once you start at a law firm, or if you already have been at law firms for many years, you know they're going to want you to generate business. This is the way you do it. Who can help you network? It's everybody and anyone. So you really have to think broadly about your contacts. So contacts can include anyone who knows anything to do about the legal profession or with some business-related connection to the United States, if that's where you're thinking of being for a while. This can include people you know who are lawyers, family friends, former professors, parents of friends, neighbors, friends of friends. Your contacts may be in the United States, in your home country, or even in other countries. You're just starting this program. This is a perfect time to send an email to your family members, to your family friends, and letting them know what you're doing and what you'd like to do in the future. It's not so much risk right now, and it's not like such a demand because you just started your program. So you're sort of enlightening them. Your first and your best resource for finding a job is your own personal and professional contacts because they know you. And they could recommend you. So if it's a professor, they could say, this was a wonderful person in my class. They were outstanding. I think they're a good person for you to hire or for you to get to know. If you're randomly reaching out to a contact, it's not as strong of a connection as if you use a personal or professional contact. It seems intuitive, but lots of times they're like, oh, I totally forgot about that person. So people you know can help you find out about employment opportunities, act as a liaison, so you have a personal connection with that law firm. It's a stronger cover letter. If you could say, Professor so-and-so recommended I reach out to you, or my business colleague recommended I reach out to you, than if you're just blindly contacting someone. So the first step is brainstorm and make a list of anyone that you think may be helpful for your job search. You should be overly inclusive. You can always edit it down later, but you should start very broad. Keep in mind the benefits of networking. They can help you gather information, not only jobs, but just information about a certain practice area. also, they can look out for you in the future. I have many people contact me about jobs in the university. Something might not be open today, but in 6 months from now, an opening could pop up. If someone reached out to me, I will reach out to them and say, yes, there's an opening here. Are you still interested? So you have to think about it a little bit more long term. Where and with whom to network? Past employers, of course, your professors, current and your past professors. Present employers in your home country, of course, you only ask them for U.S. contact if they're okay with you staying here. I mean, that's sort of sometimes touchy. Student organizations. If you haven't joined any student organizations, you should. I mean, it's a great opportunity to meet the students that are interested in a certain type of law. Like if you're interested in IP law, there's an IP student group. They usually bring in speakers from the area and outside the area who are experts in the area to come talk. You want to sort of get involved in that whole network. Panel discussions and lectures. Wharton, as well as, of course, our law school, but Wharton also has a lot of wonderful conferences that they put on. There's a Latin American conference. Last year they had a conference about business in China. So I mean, there's lots of different schools. Look into them. So at a panel discussion, if you can't meet or go up to the speaker right after the panel, get their card, reach out to them later. It's not a problem to do so. Bar associations, there's many different bar associations, and there's many different associations that are a little bit more culturally driven. Find which one suits you. I think it's very helpful to go onto their websites and see who are the members. Some of the bar associations are very, very open with who their board of directors are and where they work. So, for example, you wanted to work for Cleary, you join an association. One of the members of that association is an attorney at Cleary. If you're a student member of that bar association, you have another tie to reach out to that person and ask for advice. So you can utilize it that way. And they like you if you joined their particular bar association. Cultural organizations and religious connections are also important. So there's a bunch of different networking techniques. If you don't know anybody and you're just trying to figure out, is this a practice area that suits me, and you're just not so sure because you just came out of law school or you haven't practiced that much and you're just trying to figure out where your niche would be, informational interviews. You can reach out to alumni, you can reach out to attorneys in a certain practice area for advice. Like, tell me a little bit more about your practice area. What do you usually do in a day? What type of clientele do you have? This is actually something you can do in the United States. I know it's sort of like randomly reaching out to people, but lots of times, as you know, attorneys like to talk about themselves. So if a student has an interest about a practice area, many people are very amenable to talking to you. Attending events. Social media, Facebook, LinkedIn. It's a wonderful place to mine, and we're going to actually have a session next Friday, specifically on social media. So Emily Brennan from our communication department is going to give an hour-long presentation at noon to 1 about social media for lawyers. I suggest you all come. And then after that, we're going to have professional pictures of you. So I do suggest people, if you don't have a professional shot in a suit, this is a really great time to have that. I'm going to be sending an email out about the event. I'm going to stagger the times so you don't have to wait too long to get your picture, but it is something that I think everyone in the class should get a professional shot. And then reaching out to alumni. Everybody in this room has access to the alumni directory. So you can go onto the alumni directory and find alumni. You can search them by employer. For example, if you want to have a job with Merrill Lynch, pop in Merrill Lynch, a bunch of alumni names come up and you can reach out to them. It has their contact information on there. They don't expect you to reach out to them, but they did put their information on that alumni contact list, so they know it is accessible to students. So with an informational interview, I have sample, little introductory paragraphs, like emails that you can send to people. But you pretty much start by sending an email introducing yourself and mentioning how you obtained his or her name, alumni director, whoever referred you, and what the connection is between you in that person. For example, you attended the same law school. Explain that you are a Penn Law LM student, that you're seeking information about the practice of law in the United States. You'd like to speak with him or her for about 10 minutes by telephone or in person or via email for an informational interview. And see what happens. Once you set up your interview, you need to think about what you want to accomplish during your conversation, because you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste their time. So what is your purpose? I mean, is it to learn more about the particular practice area? Which questions do you want to ask these individuals? You may want to ask them who they would advise for someone in your background and what they think your potential is to work in that area of law. I mean, if you have a certain expertise, sharing with them, this is my expertise, how would I be a marketable candidate for your firm or other firms that do this type of work? Asking for advice is always appropriate. Asking directly for a job comes across pushy, it's not going to go anywhere, it's not appropriate. Just so that you know, that's the little nuance. It's always advice, it's not a specific job. Always end your conversation with, based on our conversation today, what other people do you believe I should talk to? They have other contacts. And if you have a rapport with that person, they will lead you to the next person they think would be helpful for you. So can you give me a couple names of someone who would be willing to talk to me? May I have permission to use your name when I contact them? That's always nice to add, because that person's going to open up that email if it is referred to by someone that they know. After the interview, send a personal note of thanks. That could be an email. It doesn't have to be handwritten or anything like that. Send an email thanking them for their time, and if there's anything that you could do to help them, offer it. If the relationship is one that you like to cultivate, you can meet with the contact again, maybe lunch or coffee, just see how it goes and where the next step would be. Another type of networking is networking at events. For example, you guys had the event last week with the International Group of Philadelphia. That was an opportunity to meet attorneys. So you always have to figure out what the purpose of the event is. That event was pretty much to welcome you guys, so they're all sort of welcoming. Proper attire, it's usually business or business casual. Who's coming? Lots of times you can see, sometimes they'll give you the list in advance of who's actually going to be there. Like if it's a firm event, sometimes they'll say these are the attorneys that are presenting, these are the attorneys that will be attending that event. Then you have that added benefit to be able to do some research on them, see their picture, and then target them at that event and go right up to that person, the hiring partner, whoever the head of the particular division is, and introduce yourself. You don't always have that opportunity to get the list, but that's something that you should think of when you're going to firm events. Who's going to be there, and who do you want to meet at that event? At bar association meetings, if you become a member of a bar association, usually you get a list of all the members of that particular committee. You'll be able to look at the backgrounds of those people, and then introduce yourself. So at the check-in table, there's always that list of checking in and checking out. If you know the person's name, you can always discreetly look over there. Have they arrived? Yes, they have. Go find them. Lots of times people don't like going to events alone. It's perfectly fine to do the buddy system. Bring a friend. Bring one of your classmates. Just make sure that you don't stay with that person the entire evening. It's very comfortable to sort of hang out with the other students, but your purpose is to network and to create business. So you can come together and then leave, and then regroup sometime during the evening. That's fine as well. So networking events, goals. You want to meet an attorney from the business and finance section to discuss private equity. So, if you know who the host or hostess of that event is, go up to them and say, I really would like to meet someone in particular that does this type of work. Can you let me know who you would suggest I meet, and can you introduce me? That's another way of finding things. For example, meeting a labor and employment lawyer to learn about the firm's practice. Definitely always introduce yourself to whoever organized the event, to the hiring partner, and then thank them for the event before you leave. Socializing tips. You sort of have to get yourself in the right mentality before going to these events, or else it's just not going to be a productive use of your time. And you don't have much time, and I realize that. So you sort of have to go in a targeted period of time, You don't have to stay to every event for a whole hour. I mean, if you go there and you're there for like 20 minutes and you meet certain people and it seems like if it's a good use of your time, you stay. If it's not, you leave. That's okay, but you should sort of see what your point is. So cultivating a positive mental attitude to go there and get the most out of the environment, the buddy system. Act like the host. Lots of people go to an event like, don't know anybody, this is really awkward. Other people who are there alone feel the same way. So the easiest thing to do is pretend that you are the host of the event and you approach the people who are not talking to other people. They want to talk to somebody else, so it's an easy entry to approach somebody else that's alone at an event. Drink and eat in moderation, you guys know that. Drink in your left hand so you can shake other people's hands. Always introduce yourself and shake a person's hand. Firm handshake, not bone cracking. Eye contact and smile. Breaking into a conversation, sometimes people are like, well, it seems so awkward to like sort of force myself into somebody's already who has a conversation. If it's two people, of course, social nuances. If there's two people that are talking intently, leave them alone. It's not going to be an easy break-in. But if there's three or more, go ahead up and meet those individuals. Smile, introduce yourself. I'm saying the smile, introduce yourself because lots of times that's a nice, easy way of, meeting people. Don't overstay your welcome, but also feel free to leave. If that's not a productive conversation, break away and go meet somebody else. You don't have to spend the whole night talking to one person. You should be mingling. That's the purpose of it. So, conversation tips, introduction. Hello, my name is so-and-so. I'm an LLM student at Penn Law. Get their name. First name, Mr. and Mrs. Repeat it back so it's sort of cute to remember it. What do you say next? It's a lovely event. Thank you for inviting me. Appreciate the chance to learn more about your firm. Tell me about your practice. I mean, you want to sort of like get that conversation going. What you enjoy about practicing law. I mean, you're trying to break down their social, to break into finding a little bit more about them because most attorneys like to talk about themselves and it'll be easier for them to talk about themselves. Find out information about the firm that is important to you. What distinguishes your firm from other firms? What do you find most challenging about your work? What practice areas do you think is going to be in demand in the next year? Why? Of course, their hobbies, their interests, current events. Conversation killers. I mean, this is cultural as well, but certain things in the U.S. that you don't talk about is money. You don't bring it up at events. You won't bring it up at any initial interview that you have. I mean, if you have a 20-minute interview with anyone, you're not asking how much they're going to pay you. That comes after you receive an offer. Health issues. People don't want to know. Age, race, religion, marital status. Don't go there. Politics. It depends on how controversial the subject is, and because you don't want to just get into really intense political discussion. You really want to find out a little bit more about job opportunities, and you can get very easily distracted into that. Humor, you need to think before you joke. Not everything you think is funny is funny. Follow-up tips. This is really key. So you went to this event. So you went to this particular meeting. What do you do for follow-up? You should calendar your regular contacts. I mean, you should be doing this with everybody that you know at this point. And keep good records of your contacts. It is going to help you in the future. So keep your contacts fresh. Some of the ways of following up with people are life events, your accomplishments, your events, like just started the LLM program, just wanted to share what I'm doing, this is what my area of concentration is going to be. I'm planning on doing this after when I graduate. When you take your exams, shooting an email, just say, got my grades back, did really well. Got my grades back, didn't do that well. Just letting them know what's going on with you. And then, of course, if there's something that you see about these contacts, like if you met somebody at an event or somebody that you know, and they just published a book, reach out to them and congratulate them. Or if they just did really well on a case, reach out and let them know that you saw that they did really well in that case. So, things like that. It's easy, but it's a way of keeping your contacts fresh. And it's not always you taking, it's you giving as well. These are easy ways of doing that. Be a clipping service. So if you saw an article about mergers and acquisitions in a certain area that you think is interesting, and you think somebody else is interesting, pass it along. I mean, they'll appreciate it, and also appreciate that you're thinking of them. Schedule attendance at events. So if you RSVP for an event, this is a big no-no at the school. If you RSVP, you have to attend. Or you need to let them know at least 24 hours in advance that you're not coming. Most of the law firms and most of the events, they save your, they pretty much, they have a list of who's coming, who's not coming. And if you say you're going to come and then you flake out and don't come, they remember that. Most of the firms do as well. I mean, lots of times there's lots of firm events later in the year, and if you say you're going to come and then you don't come, there's a note next to you saying. And they keep good records on that, so just don't do that. So schedule attendance at events and stick to it, or within 24 hours before, let them know that you're not able to come. I mean, that's appropriate as well. If you don't have business cards, you can order business cards, because what you like to do at these events is collect the business cards so you can follow up. But always it's nice to hand one back. So we have on the website where you could actually order business cards. You could also get the logo from me. It's not a problem. It has to have the Penn logo on it. If you have a Wharton certificate, you can't have Penn Law and Wharton. It has to just be Penn Law. So we have it on. I'll send that link to everybody as well. If you don't have business cards, you should have them. So follow-up activities, make it a habit. 3 strikes and you're out. This means if you reached out to somebody, then you reach out again, and one more time, and they're not responding to you, it's okay. It's not going to go anywhere. It's over. So I mean, if you're having that problem with somebody, including your mentors, let me know if you reached out to your mentor. Some of you already have, and they haven't responded. It could be that they're really busy. You could reach out a second time. Then let me know. Because if they're not responding back to you, either there's something going on with them, they don't want to be a mentor, or there's some nuancey thing, and I will reach out to them and say, oh, what's going on? But in general, with context, it's the same thing. If you reach out to alumni 1 time or 2 times, that's fine. The 3rd time, just forget it. Same with job applications. If you send out a job application, I say within 10 days you follow up. Whether it was a job posting or not, send out your cover letter, which is the body of your email, attach your resume, looking for this job. Reach out after 10 days to the recruitment coordinator, whoever you sent, to see the status of your application. You can reach out twice. By the 3rd time, if they're not responding, most likely that is not going anywhere. But the burden is on you. If you send an application to somebody, a cover letter and a resume for a job position, they're not necessarily going to be knocking on your door. You need to follow up, and that burden is on you. So I definitely think an Excel spreadsheet applied to these particular firms, followed up 10 days later, this is who I followed up with, this is who I spoke to, and just really have a good calendaring system for them. Other networking sources, social media, of course everybody loves social media. Facebook, it's okay. I mean, I think it's more for personal stuff. But LinkedIn, I think, is actually pretty good. Penn Law alumni are great. The LLM alumni on LinkedIn, I think, are also really good. I find it nice to sort of search it. So if I'm looking for an alumni to speak to you guys, I usually go, or just to reach out to, I look on LinkedIn to just see who's where. And you can search it very nicely by where they're working, etc. So I find it very helpful. The session that we're going to have next week will go more in depth into social media. She's an expert. I'm not. The CPAP site, the Alumni Commons, is great. You can select lists of alumni by area, by law. We also have, with the alumni site, there are alumni groups in various cities. So if you're interested in California, for example, there's a list of alumni that are sort of like contacts in California that you can reach out to. And their names are on the website, their emails are there as well, and we have it throughout the United States. So that's sort of a fun thing to know about. Okay. Social media, be conscious of what you're putting on your Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, etc. accounts. Many employers are using social media as well. And you should always keep it professional and keep your profile private if you, or certain aspects of like Facebook private, because they will be searching it as well. And we've had problems, I haven't had any problems with the LLM group, but I've had problems with the JD group that certain individuals have lost jobs because of things on their sites. So there was a judge that was going to hire, for example, there was a judge that was going to hire one of our students as law clerk until his clerk looked on the site and saw some questionable activities pasted all over, from the person's friend actually, of pictures that were not appropriate. Didn't get the offer. And then called the school and let us know that there was a problem. So be aware that they are looking. And you might think, well, only my friends know this, but everyone has friends. So they will be able to see your site. So just be very careful about it. So examples of social media no-nos, inappropriate photos, derogatory comments on your wall. People will read it, they don't like it, you have a problem. Productive uses of LinkedIn. It is a great way to network and find out information about an employer or company before an interview. You can look up the person, learn about different ways to connect with them during the interview. Make sure that your LinkedIn account is filled with current information because you never know who's actually searching for you as well. So once again, the don'ts of networking: never ask directly for a job, ask for advice. Don't view the meeting with the contact as a one-time thing. People change jobs now every 3 to 5 years, and you will probably too. So you sort of want to make sure that you're staying in touch with people and seeing what's happening with their life. And please don't be put off if you've reached out to a lot of people, whether it is for informational interviews or just for getting a job. You can talk to a lot of people. Some will reject you. Don't take it personally. I mean, if you reach out to alumni and they never get back to you, it could just be that they're very busy. A lot of times I have students saying, I reached out to 50 people, no one responded, and then that 51st person got them a job, or was a really great contact to have. So you really have to sort of look at it as a long-term investment for your entire career, as well as putting in enough effort that it will be a long-term return for you. You also just need one person to know the right person to get you that job. It is a two-way street. Effective networkers are always thinking of how to help and support members of their network. So what you can do for them. Inform the context of the job search process and thank them. So I mean, if you end up getting a job or you end up getting a promotion, you really should circle back to those people after you have that and let them know what happened. It's not always just like, I'm looking for something. It's like, hey, I got something, and now I can help you. I mean, so it's a two-way street. And of course, networking goes beyond your immediate job search. It is the way they're going to obtain and maintain business and future jobs, because this really is all about cultivating networks and links and connections with people. And that is how you cultivate business. So that is a very quick overview about networking. I'm happy to take any questions from anybody, and then next week we'll have the session. I hope we can make it for the social media, because it seems like that is the way everyone's going. But I do think that in addition to social media, in person or conversations with people in person, a lot of people seem to be going away from that. It's all email, it's less personal contact. I really do think going to events and actually meeting people is a great way to actually know them and have them invest in you. So any questions? Yes.
Yeah, I have a question about Facebook searches.
Yes.
So how in-depth do they go, and like how hard do they try to find you on Facebook? Because I, for example, I use a completely different name on Facebook.
So they probably won't find you unless somebody knows that's the alias that you had. I mean, if you're, I had someone, I used to work at Temple Law School before coming here, and we were doing a search on somebody who was getting hired there, potentially getting hired there. And everything was private, but of course one of our vast network knew somebody else that was a friend. We got right into her thing, could see everything. So it depends on, for employers, they do search fairly deep because they do want to know if you're going to be the right fit for them. So I think that be overly cautious with that. Also, your phone messages. Please have, if you start interviewing, make sure not only your email is accessible as the one that you check, but if you are listing a phone number, which you should, make sure that your phone message, preferably not a robotic phone message, and is something that you're checking. We had some problems over this last recruitment season that people had not great messages on their phone stuff, and firms reach out to us saying this just wasn't appropriate. I didn't like leaving a message for some robotic number, or just said the number and didn't say the person's name. So have your name on it. If you are reaching out for jobs and you have your phone number there, make sure that it's an appropriate message. Because we had some problems with that. Any other questions? This is really basic. I mean, there's lots of books on the subject as well about like the nuances about how to break into stuff. But I think a lot of you already have been practicing law and you sort of know a lot of these things. But I wanted to give an overview, just sort of that you sort of know. In the U.S., it's fairly acceptable to be doing this, and it's very commonplace to do this. And in some countries, it's not. And you're like, they're not going to help me at all. Why should I bother? Here, actually, people really like to talk about themselves, and therefore, I think it's successful in the United States to try and do this.
I have a question. When you say that we should ask for advice and not for a job, you say that when we speak to the person or when we write an email?
Both. Well, it depends. I mean,
And
if you are looking to apply for a job at a firm,
Okay.
you're applying for a job for the firm. I'm an LLM student. I'm a practicing attorney in whatever country, receiving my LLM degree from Penn Law, seeking a foreign associate position for after graduation. So if you're applying to a job, you are applying for a job. You are saying you want that job. If you are reaching out to someone at that same firm, saying, I have applied for a job here, or I'm thinking about applying for positions in this area, I'd love to get your input and advice about the firm, the practice areas, the potential of opportunity at your firm. That's more advice than saying that. So it sort of depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking to break into a different area, you're just really trying to get the lay of the land, like, what is needed here? I mean, would my skill sets match this practice area? Then it's more just an informational interview. I'm planning on settling in the Philadelphia region. This is my expertise. I'm looking to get some more information about this particular legal area. So if you join a bar association, you join a specific committee meeting, you could reach out to the head of that committee saying, hey, I just joined the bar association, this particular committee group. I'm looking to get more information about how to get involved and also to how to get to know the people in this committee because I'm planning on settling here. That's another way. Then you're asking for advice. You're not asking for a job. You're just trying to get more knowledge. And that sometimes is a better way of getting to know people before you start sending that application, because that group may be somebody that could say, I met her through this committee, she's wonderful, and then pass your resume along. It depends on the situation, and I'm happy to talk to you about that as well. But I think before you apply to a firm, if you could create some type of nexus with somebody at that firm, and not just have a cold email to somebody you don't know at all, it's better. Usually it's more efficient. Any other questions? No? Okay. Well, we got plenty of pizza, so if you guys want more pizza, we got a ton. And this is, for a lot of the upcoming events, and I'm going to email you guys that, this seems to be the room of choice, so we might be in here a lot, so just,
And
So, yes.
last